Hello, everybody. I think we are live. I am also going to be on Instagram live. So, just bear with me as I do multiple tech things. Go. We are live in let's find a filter. Hello. Request, yes. Go live with Raven Wings. CN joined. Yay!
Hello, hello.
Hello. Wow. First double live I've ever done. CN, if you want to send a request, so we're going to do a 3-person thing. Oh, hello. So I'm on YouTube as well as Instagram, the first time that I have done this. So, it'll be what that is. Okay, so welcome to New Year's Eve story time with the Trancestors. This is a masterclass on lineage storytelling and energetic activism. So I'm Shaunga. For those who don't know me, I am a planetary priestess. I am a multiverse historian. They do exist, and they are me. Yeah, and today I wanted to share. So I've been doing a little series on what it means to participate in energetic activism as healers, artists, writers. So I have a bunch of videos on my YouTube channel for that. And today I wanted to share a live transmission going deeper on this topic. So I invited Raven and CN. I know CN's here, but I don't know. I think you have to send me a request to get you on here, CN. So I'll look out for that. But yeah, so what I want to do is I'll start with a little grounding that we can all breathe together and enter into this space together. And then, and then I will do the storytelling. And so, Raven, and you can just relax and do whatever you need to do. It's like 20 minutes or so, probably. And then you can, I'll, respond and we'll chat and all that. And then we will end with I'll lead us through a kind of energy healing and prayer that we can ground into what are our freedom requirements for 2024 for ourselves and for the world. And I'll lead us in how we can offer that to the land in a way that sends energy healing through the land and allows, it to go to places where this healing is really needed, that are enduring genocide, hardship, violence, all those kind of things. So, yeah, let's get started. Okay. All right, let's get started with some breathing. All right, so just take a few deep breaths. just like relax into your body, allow yourself to come back to your body, settle your nervous system. In those breaths, you can just like release anything you don't need to be carrying right now. And as you breathe, you can imagine a cord from your root stretching all the way down through the layers of the earth into the core of the earth. And right below you in the core of the earth, there is a place just for you that holds your true name, whatever that means to you. And feel that connection. And now imagine that energy of your true name is coming up through the earth, through your body, and up through your head, and reaching all the way up into the sky, through space, and to your North Star. That's your personal guiding star. That's your unique North Star. And that also holds your true name, whatever that means to you. And feel that connection. And then feel the connection all the way from your North Star, all the way down to the center of the earth. And feel that strong connection between the sky, the stars, and the earth, protecting you, connecting you. And I want to honor and acknowledge and give gratitude to all the ancestors and all of our beloved, benevolent protectors and allies and guardians who are here today for this transmission and with us every day. Yeah, and as you know, we're doing energetic we're talking about energy, we're doing energetic transmission. This protection around us, we ask our protectors to also protect our sovereignty and our sovereign energy and our sovereign life journeys. So, whoever is listening now or tuning in later, we can be in different places in our spiritual journey and share space and still be protected in our sovereignty. So, no doors will open for you that aren't meant to open today, and that kind of thing. So, thank you for being here, everybody. All right. So, as a reminder, I sent this out on my list, but I have a representative water and fire here. For this offering. And so if you want to participate in the energy healing afterward, you can keep a bowl of water close to you and a candle or burn some herbs or whatever that can look like for you. Yeah, because we're going to offer the water to the land tomorrow, but that's totally optional. Do it if your spirit feels called to do it. And with that, let's get into story time with the Trancestors, a masterclass on lineage storytelling and energetic activism. Okay, so today I want to talk about the energetics of the demand as it relates to spell work, energy healing. Demand is obviously like a very potent and powerful common energy that we wield in activism, right? So we demand freedom, we demand ceasefire, we demand an end to genocide and occupation. But as healers and artists and storytellers, we need to be aware of the kind of energy that we are tuning to when we say anything. So demand can come from a place of panic, begging. It can be screaming at something that you know will never listen to you. And so I want to tell you two examples from my own life. One was almost exactly 9 years ago in January 2015. I was fresh out of a devastating breakup. My friends will remember that. And this wound of I'm not worthy of love really cracked open for me. And I didn't fully realize it at the time, but uh, I had this like subconscious list in my head as to why I wasn't worthy of a long lasting relationship. I had these reasons that I had convinced myself that, like, oh, it's okay. It's just not for me. That's fine. Until this breakup broke that wound open. And I remember I was at a dance studio that day. I was just having like solo rehearsal time for a theater piece that I was creating. And I remember breaking down in that dance studio alone, and I was weeping, and I was, like, wailing to the universe, to spirit, to anything that would listen to me, and I kept saying, "I need love now. I need it now. Stop hiding it from me. I'm done waiting. I'm done trying to be ready. I'm ready now. I need love by my side now." Now, that was a type of spiritual demand, right? It was a sincere cry from my soul. And, when we make demands like that in the midst of intense grief, sometimes we're not actually calling for something new as much as we are stating our need to be held by something bigger. So for me, that demand that day was actually a cry for my ancestors. And I was speaking some really deep truths without realizing it when I said, "Stop hiding from me." The pain that I felt that day is about the way that colonization and genocide throughout time and space, here and through the multiverse, has intentionally severed us from our connection to spirit, to ancestors, and to the true spiritual nature of who we are. So that year in 2015, I went through my first big, massive spiritual awakening, and I came home to my ancestors, uh, 9 years ago. So I made a demand for it that day in the dance studio, and it was heard, and it was answered, and it was given swiftly. And I did not manifest another partner or romantic relationship through that energy. Um, The truth is, like, in that mission to find my ancestors, I didn't have any room for a new partnership, and I also knew deep down that I didn't want another partnership to come to me through that energy of, like, begging or pleading. I wanted, my next partner to come through peace, relaxation, adventure, freedom, because that's how I wanna feel in the partnership. So, fast forward to present time. This was maybe a couple weeks ago. I was sleeping and I was dreaming, and I had a dream where someone was in my home that doesn't have permission to be in my home or in my dream realm. And that's significant for me because I'm an ancestral dreamer. So, for me, like, my dreams are not just, like, stuff happening in my head, it's, my dream realm is another place where my life happens. So, they tell me a lot about, like, what's going on energetically and psychically. So, in this dream, this person was, like, in my home, and I was screaming at them, I was demanding them to get out. I was like Dawn and Buffy, "Get out, get out, get out." So I was demanding a get out, but it wasn't working in my dream, and I couldn't get them to leave, and I just, like, woke up eventually. And so the next day I had to take pause, and I was like, "Okay, what do I, do with this situation?" Because, um, every night I go to bed with, like, a lot of energetic protection around me, but this is giving me a clue as to what was happening with my child self. So that child self was, like, screaming a demand, but that child in me was terrified and trapped in her circumstances and, she doesn't have any power to change the situation or remove the thing that's hurting her. She just has to live with it. And so in living with it, her only way of advocating for herself is to scream a demand at someone who's never gonna listen. So now as an adult, I can gather that terrified child and tell her, "You are worthy of a life where you are genuinely safe and protected. You are worthy of relationships that respect your consent." So this theme is emerging around worthiness, right? And what does it mean to look at the true energetic, celestial, earth-based nature of a demand. So much of my work in the last couple years has been looking at deeply how do we decolonize the energetics around these huge forces of nature that move through our lives so powerfully: grief, justice, rage, death, demand. Um, and I have this grief self-study course and memoir that I created a couple years ago called Let Loss Make You Warm, and that is about learning how to detangle our grief from guilt, shame, regret, despair, isolation, and realizing that these things that often come along with grief are actually not its true nature. It's what colonization and trauma has done to grief and done to our relationship with this sacred force of nature. And so you can look at death like that too. In this modern day context, death is used for purposes like disposability, like genocide, and that's not who death really is. Um, and so as an ancestral healer, like, I feel such a deep commitment not just to decolonize myself and help, do everything that I can to help the planet decolonize, but also to help these incredible primordial energies who are ancestors themselves and who run through all of our lives so powerfully, to help them decolonize and heal, and come back to their true names. So how can the true nature of death be restored? The true nature of rage, which I feel is creation and dancing and passion. So that's what I think about when I'm talking about the energetics of a demand. I think that its true nature is worthiness, and how we can understand that as an ancestor who is here, that worthiness, who is here for revolution and freedom and land back. And I think about it as requirement. That's really the word that I was really feeling it as I came into, this storytelling session, what we require for our lives and life here on the planet. So I can go back to that dance studio 8 years ago and I can talk to that part of myself who was crying and I can say, like, you require partnership with respect and honesty. You require a partner that is ancestrally and spiritually aligned. You require that for a long-lasting relationship. I can say to my child self, we require a safe and happy home. We require full right to determine who does and doesn't enter our sacred spaces. So what does all this have to do with lineage storytelling, and what does it have to do with the Trancestors? Okay, well, I am a queer, gender nonconforming person, and I've spent more than a decade in Takaranto, dish with one spoon territory, along with my friends Raven and Cien and many others, creating, art here in our communities, mentoring and teaching folks, helping people retrieve their ancestral stories, helping, create space for us to share our artistry and put it on stage. And the three of us, have truly been community mothers here for more than a decade. Um, but especially, you know, through the years, especially the last 8 years, everything that I kept building, like, kept getting dismantled, right? Relationships would fall apart, conflict, spaces that, I helped build would end abruptly. Sometimes it was really traumatic. And I felt, stuck in this perpetual pattern of, like, trying so hard to build the sustainability and longevity and endurance and long lasting love. And it just kept getting dismantled. And so, when I was crying that day for love to stay by my side, it was in response to this kind of pain, the pain of dismantling. Um, and yet, when I called that love to stay by my side, it came so strongly with more heart and purpose and passion than I could ever imagine. And that love, it was my Trancestors, you know? And they have not left my side since then, and they never will. They are endurance, they are longevity, They are revolution, they are freedom, they are my leadership, and it's who I lead with today. And I didn't know it was them for a long time. I didn't realize their true nature. And the transcestors that I connect to today, and who I'm naming today, they're older than some of our more immediate ancestors, which is why. And why? Because it's like what we've been saying since COVID, that we are truly in unprecedented times. Right? So we've seen revolutions before, like humanity has, but it's not been like this, because right now we are actually, and this is, my multiverse historian brain, I see that we are in process of fully dismantling and transforming, what we might call the war paradigm, the genocidal paradigm, that has been functioning on an energetic level through the universe longer than we can imagine. And here on Earth, we're ending it, and for good. So that's why these older ancestors are present with us, and why a lot of us, have experienced a level of dismantling in our personal lives that has been harrowing. They're teaching us how to do it in our own lineages so we can extend that to the collective. Um, Yeah. And, I think it was like we were having conversations a little while ago, or the three of us were, and we were talking about, like, what is it about all those, like, queer and trans spaces, like, that we built that didn't work? Why did they get dismantled? And I mean, we could have a long conversation about that, but I think it boils down to worthiness. um and this is such a common theme that we've seen through building these, queer and trans artistic spaces. Like, we're so used to either being shut out completely from mainstream art spaces, or they're traumatic for us, or they're inaccessible. um, and we spend so much of our energy, like, trying to teach or explain or demand that they treat us better. And even when we create our own spaces, some of that energetic is still there. Like, we feel like we have to perpetually prove ourselves or scream at someone who isn't listening. And it's just exhausting. So, those spaces for me, including other versions of my astrology business, I had to keep dismantling. And sometimes I just, like, put a huge thing that I built in the toilet and I flushed it to get into a much deeper root of worthiness and requirement. Um, and through that, I found, what these artistic transcestors have taught me about how we live in ceremony with our art projects, our sacred, entrepreneurships, our relationships, and our daily life. Because in activist spaces, we use art for a lot of things. There's a long lineage of protest art. We entertain people to lift their spirits. We care for people. We offer support to larger movements. We offer place for people to grieve and rest. But we forgot that all of that protest art and, supportive, entertaining art, like, they have an older home, and it's ceremony, it's ancestral ritual, and the protocols and the love languages and the requirements of our transcestors. When we collaborate with them, they teach us about so much of the power of what we can wield through our art and with the land as collaborator. You know, we forgot that long ago we regarded the stage as a body where we can perform global Reiki. We can repair collective wounds as energetic surgeons. We can heal collective societal and ancestral wounds in public, and sometimes naked, sometimes stripping. And we share that with everyone. So our stories can be sacred sites where ancestors, our loved ones, can transition and become and evolve as ancestors. Um, so this is really, really important work that we can do as artists, and remember how powerful our work can be if we come home to these ancestral technologies. Um, and this is what I do and what I'm teaching, and I'm hosting an ancestor apprenticeship on this coming up in February, and you can find out more about that on my page. But I believe if we can really learn this, and so many of us are birthing these technologies, and we need community around that. We need to be in conversation around that, because I really believe that this art, it's not just protest, not just support. It can actually be one of the most powerful threats to genocide. Um, and I don't think anyone on the planet really quite realizes how powerful this medicine is. But again, multiverse brain over the next 20, 40 years of Pluto, as Pluto moves through Aquarius and Pisces, I think that we are all going to learn just that. And we're going to show each other what we're capable of. And we're going to make everyone believers, including ourselves. So, here, I want everyone to take a few deep breaths and connect to this energy within yourself around worthiness and requirement. So ask yourself, what do I require right now as we enter 2024 for my life and for life on the planet? What do I require for my life and my life on the planet? So you tune into that. You can type it in if you want to the chat, blow it into your water, speak it to the water, speak it to the fire. And yeah, Raven, throw it to you. Any comments? Any reflections?
Absolutely. Thank you, first of all, for your offering, for everything that you shared just now. It really resonates in so many different ways. When I think about worthiness and how you talked about it and expanded it, it makes me think about a commitment I'm making to myself right now, which is I'm learning to appreciate what I do. I think I've always sought a certain amount of validation from outside sources, whether that be parents, family, community, etc., etc. Um, and recently, I realized that my sort of lack of appreciation is tied into my worthiness and my value and the risks that I take, whether that be in career, relationship, or even just in a healing journey itself. And I'm learning so much about the ways that trans people live and survive and multiply ourselves um, all the time as I get older, as I move into my 40s decade, trying to unpack some of the actually unpacking all of the lessons that I've learned thus far in order to embrace the new experience. Sometimes we think about rest, right? It's the end of the year, blah, 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 beginning of the year. And I think a lot of people are talking about rest, but I find that my rest isn't sufficient if I go back to the same dynamic. So, I'm trying to find my rest, but also strategically planning a different experience, a different way forward, and thinking about the ancestors, transcestors, energy of longevity, and that was really meaningful to me to think about, and endurance, love, medicine, all of these really potent journeys that we all can go through. So that's what I'm thinking about for myself after your offering. Yeah, very beautiful.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that resonates with me too. And so is there anything that you wanna share, in terms of your requirements for yourself and for the planet?
My requirements for myself and the planet. Um, I've been on a journey over the past few years, actually, but it's really hit its head this year in a collective global village type of way, which is a growing and deepening sensitivity. I'm more sensitive now than I feel like I've ever been before.
Mhm.
And um, I'm unpacking all the colonial ways that has disrupted that in the past. Um, by staying soft, by moving with this energy of love and sincerity, um, that I can be as effective, as full, as whole, um, as I was when I was using pain as my muse, for example, or struggle as my muse, for example. Now I'm using sensitivity, and it's like this generation, millennials and Gen Zers, we get this rap of being too sensitive.
Hmm.
But really, we're just growing in empathy. We're growing in our collective understanding of each other. We're growing the technologies that have been passed down through generations to finally say, hey, let's stop, listen, be with each other, learn how to love each other in our confusion and conflict. Two, um, for example, like with what is happening right now in Palestine um, and Gaza specifically, um, in real time, you're watching people learn the right language. In real time, you're watching people unpack their anti-Semitism. You're watching people in real time think about how our governments are globally impacting everyone's lives around us, and so we can't be non-political. But we all can't do the work in the same way, and so finding our ways to do that with gentleness, with a little less rambunctious energy than my younger age, and finding a gentle way to move
Mhm.
over this next decade. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, I really feel like that's like, feels like a collective, yeah, sorry for folks for YouTube, I hope that you can still hear Raven speak. But,
Oh,
yeah, um but yeah, I feel like that's like it's a collective theme, like the sensitivity that's opening up because we are again, yeah, like I feel like so many of us are being called to be more open to spirit and our spiritual gifts because these are the things that are really going to take us through that endurance and allow us to make deeper systemic cultural change. And that does require softness and rest, like we can't yeah, I'm there too, like the sort of not not that I never have aggressive energy, but there's there's a way to wield the action and the forward momentum and the precision of like moving. I described this in one of my earlier pieces that I put on my podcast as peaceful aggression. So that has there's a soft edge around it, but it's also very purposeful. So and there's a deep, grounding into rest and moving yeah, just, like, feeling like a deeper sinking into the earth and moving from that place. That is where a bunch of us will be called to do our work and our transformative work there. Yeah. Um I know okay, is Cien does Cien wanna I don't know if Cien, ever figured
yes.
out how to
I might have to switch out, and then Cian might have to switch in. Maybe that will.
Oh, we can't do 3 at the same time?
Maybe in the past, I know it's worked before, but I don't know. Cian said they sent the request, but I don't know if it went through to you.
Oh, weird, okay. Oh, okay, yeah, I don't think I saw it. Can you just send one more time? Oh, accept. We should be in business.
And hello, all the folks who are just joining. We've been in a fabulous conversation about transcestors, about this moment, repurposing ourselves. And I'm just reflecting on some of the sharings that Shaunga offered around, worthiness in this time period. And Sian, you can share. I'm sure you've heard.
I might do that because I have the star card and the lover's card there for you to see.
Hello, I'm here.
Hi, Sian. Thanks for joining.
On video. I was like, hi.
Do you have any thoughts you want to share about whatever I talked about, or your freedom requirements for yourself and for the planet?
Yeah, I think I was talking to a younger QT POC just a couple days ago, just about like they had lost a job, and that's very real for us folks. But they were just like super stressed, and it just made me think, like, I'm in this moment. I'm very blessed to be in a particular moment that I've really never been in before, because one of my parents has passed, and I was able to, like, I've inherited just a small sum of money that will keep me like safe for a little while. But what it provides is a privilege that maybe some people have, and maybe I just never have had. But it provides me with a time and a space to actually contemplate like what I actually want to do with my life and in my life, without the stress that's so common when we're talking about transcestors and like QT 2S BIPOC folks, that like we're often just living paycheck to paycheck. Like we have to just do gig to gig to gig, and we feel like we can't say no to anything because we just really need to make rent. So I guess I just feel like I'm in this place where I'm like, whoa, this is like the first time in my life where I actually get to ask, like, I get to stop in a way, and ask myself what I want to do with my time and space. And thus kind of like, what is the most effective thing to do? Because I think when you're just kind of in survival mode, you're just like, well, I'll take that gig and I'll take that gig and I'll take that gig, because you just want to pay your rent and pay for food. But you might not necessarily like it. It's just the thing that you have to do to survive. And so in this moment, it's kind of like, it's not that I'm not doing anything. I'm trying to show up for Palestine in the ways that I can, going to marches and like being aware, and like, but it's more so just like asking myself, in regards to work and what I want to do with my energy and time, like I don't have to do that gig now. Like right now, for this moment, I don't have to do just any gig that I'm just like, oh, that has nothing to do with my greater purpose. That has nothing to do with, like, it doesn't really matter if I do that job or someone else does that job. It's kind of like replaceable. And just kind of focusing on like, oh, what do I want to do? Yeah, I don't know. That's my reflection in this moment of how to channel my energy in very specific ways so that it's also not wasted. Yeah, stuff like that.
Yeah, I'm really happy that you have that extra cushion. You deserve it, to, just not also just for yourself, to be able to rest and breathe and have that extra spaciousness around you. And also, like you're saying, to think about how you want to direct it out into the world.
Yeah. It's this interesting juxtaposition of being like, so many of us don't get that space though, ever in our lives. Like we're just such hardworking artists or working activist artists that it's like we never get space to ask ourselves what it would be like to move. I think you talked about worthiness, and the scarcity like kind of feels like this dog at the back of our heels, nipping at the back of our heels keeps us like running. Like the luxury of that, but like the luxury of that we like really deserve to not just be kind of like surviving and so worried about that all the time.
Mm-hmm. I'm interested too, like, because this whole movement around divesting is growing, and what it means to like divest from capitalism and divest, and I'm really thinking about just and that's kind of where the deeper earth kind of sustainability energy that I'm feeling is, what would it mean for us to learn as communities to invest in each other more, and take out where we can, so that more of us can have that spaciousness and luxury that is actually just like how we deserve to live. you know
Yeah. Yeah, I think about interdependence, like how we can collectively move, share, and care for each other in ways that we're not necessarily telling each other how to live or how to be. We have our agency to express and be in our fullness, and we look out for each other in real, tangible ways, both the spiritual, energetic, the physical, and the financial. And honestly, that's what privilege is. We live in a world of colonization, and unfortunately, those who have had privilege have hoarded resources, have hoarded time, and time is a resource. Like time is an ancestor. And when I think about what you were saying, Cian, as trans people, we always are racing inside this level of time. Many of us don't think we'll make it to certain ages and spaces, and then we have to redream, or maybe dream for the first time. And so that's why art is so important. Art is a reflection of life. So if we don't see ourselves in stories, if we don't hear our voices, if we don't see each other over the interwebs, or in real person, we disappear. And so the magic and medicine of art making, both digital, physical, is a way that trans people have created that lifeline, created that stretch through time, from Jackie Shane to Sandra Caldwell to Olana to Unapologetic Burlesque, and everything that has happened here across this land. I've always said, to be the first means that there are 100 or to 1,000 to 1,000,000 other people who pushed through, who changed the paradigm, who were the game changers, who were the outsiders, throughout times. All these people who were living out of step with the times, quote unquote, who now we get to live, and so yes, they're living alongside us because now they get to experience this world that they fought for. And so when I think about what's happening as we move into this new year, as people are making plans for who and how they want to be with each other, I hope that they're centering joy in that change. Revolution and fighting against a genocide is not done without dance and music and joy and love and food and sharing. It's not done without culture lifting. And that's what we're being asked to do as a global village, to really find our ways to utilize the power of grief to move through this period of time. Grief allows us to both understand that there are beautiful things that are happening in the world and around us and that we've experienced, and that there is death and destruction and devastation, and the reframing of death, as you were mentioning before, Shaunga, is also really important. The way that we think of the finality of death. I'm reminded of a meditation that I did where the message was that spirit always wins in the end. So remembering, to connect to those parts of ourselves, even if they're kind of scary. Trans people kind of do everything afraid, and then we figure it out. Yeah.
Yeah, so important what you said. We don't end genocide without dance, without joy, without food. Yeah. Anything else you want to add, Cian, before I go to the energy healing?
No, go for the energy healing, and then yeah, go there.
Okay.
Go.
Okay, so I explained in some of my earlier videos that tomorrow, astrologically, we have what is called a Mercury stations direct. So basically, Mercury is the sign that everyone relies on. It's our phones. It's, kind of our, it's going to school. It's the route that we take to get to work. It's public transportation. So when Mercury stations direct, it's basically we perceive it from Earth. It's standing still in the sky. And what I see in this is that when this happens in the sky, it's basically organizing a shut it down day. So it's organizing like shut it down for Palestine, shut it down for planet Earth. It's a no business as usual day, no capitalist business as usual. So while energetically Mercury holds the field like that, what we can do with our prayers and our requirements is send them through the earth, because while that shut it down is happening, the ancestral messages can flow freely and clearly. So I'm going to send these instructions out through my mailing list. And so if you want to read them, you can go to my website through my Instagram bio and sign up, because I'll send them out in a couple hours. But basically, after we end today, what you can do is you can take the water that you've had for this transmission, or you can take a new bowl of water and tune into that energy of worthiness and freedom, and your requirements for that. And then speak those intentions, speak those prayers into the water, breathe it into the water, thank the water before you go to sleep. And then tomorrow, that's when the Mercury shut it down is happening. You can take that water to a giant. So whether that's like the biggest tree that's close to you, or a body of water, or if you live near a mountain, a big, strong part of the land. And so when you get there with your water, you can speak your name to the land, introduce yourself and any of the lineages that you um, want to name. And especially if you haven't done an offering before like this, ask permission from that part of the land, and say that you would like to offer your freedom requirements here, and ask for permission, and then listen for the answer. So you'll either feel like intuitively in your body if it's, accepting your request. Sometimes, if I say something to the land, like the wind will blow, or if I'm in the water, like it'll like slap me in the face. That's like a confirmation. Or you'll just like feel it. And if something doesn't feel right, if it's like not quite a yes, then it might be telling you to go to a different place. Like maybe it's a different tree, right? So some of you, many of you will be familiar with this kind of offering work, but if you've never done it before, um, yeah, it's okay if it's your first time doing something like this and you feel nervous, because like remember the land is a relationship. So if it's a first date, it's okay to be nervous. It's okay to ask for permission before you do things. um, yeah. And so, yeah, so you can take the water, take it to the tree, and then as you pour it out, you can speak your requirements for um, speak your requirements for yourself first, because in energy healing, you don't want to skip over your own healing. So say, this is what I require for my life, for my freedom. And then you can speak your requirements for a ceasefire in Gaza, freedom for Palestine, for Sudan, for Congo, for Tigray, for any part of the land you want to name that is enduring occupation and genocide. Um, and it's important, what I'm kind of bringing forward here, to bring forward that energy of requirement, even though, like, these are prayers, but sometimes when we pray for things, or offer things through prayer, we tap into a begging kind of energy, right? Like pleading, like, please stop, please stop. But here we really want to work, root into that requirement. Um, because what we're actually claiming here is that this is our home, this planet, and we belong here. And um, and we're also claiming our accountability to take care of our home. You know, this earth gives us everything that we need every day, and we are required to reciprocate, uh, and care for her. Like, that's the agreement. Because, the agreement was never for us to come here as humans and build apartheid states, or enact violence and hardship on her body, enact genocide for generations. That's not the agreement. So we do not need to beg. We need to state our worthiness and requirements, and help us all return to that accountability that we made as an agreement as a species with this incredible blue and green planet. And I feel like that's the kind of energy that she needs from us right now as energy healers. So, yeah, and you let it go into the earth, and then the earth will take it exactly where it needs to go. Yeah, and so that's the energy healing. And again, if you want those instructions mailed to you, emailed to you, I will send that out through my email list in a couple hours. So you can sign up to get that. And you can also feel free to do this in your own way. Um, yeah, thank you for listening. Any other closing comments?
Thank you so much for including me in this beautiful offering. It was a nice way to sit with today, and to think about. I just put in the chat there, asking without desperation.
Mhm.
It's a different kind of ask, and so I'm holding that and appreciating that.
Mhm, mhm.
Yes.
Yeah. Cian, you good?
Yeah, thanks for having me here too. I like there are multiple ways that we can be helping on various levels, like protest and also the energetic work around how we show up. And yeah, mirroring Raven, the moving with worthiness. And I was at a protest like on December 23rd, and one of the speakers was to say that the speakers are in a lot of direct contact with folks in Palestine, and just being like, it feels sometimes like we're not doing anything, or it feels kind of like ominous, like, how is this helpful? And then they were like, it really helps all the things that we're doing, like it's felt at a profound level. And I was like, well, if whatever we do gives like a couple of Palestinians or folks on different planes, whether they pass or are still with us, like that peace and love and care, then like I feel like that is profoundly really worth it. But also that we can move from a place where we're good while we're doing it, so we're not also in chaos. Like that worthiness is a really level, grounded way to work from for ourselves and then for the greater. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for joining. This was like a 333 transmission, so I loved having you here. Yeah, and as we close, because it's, energetic, ancestral transmission, what everyone can do when you're exiting is imagine a cord energetically that you're pulling out of this session and bring your energy back to your own body. So I like to say Shaunga Tagore, I call my energy back to myself. And yeah, with much gratitude and respect, this transmission is complete and we can all go back to our individual lives. And yeah, check out my page if you want to learn more about the ancestor apprenticeship work that I do with storytelling and all of that. And, you know, much thanks to everything that you do, Raven and Siang, in the world and in your lives. Yeah, good seeing you and chatting today. I'm glad that we connected before the new year.
Yes, yes. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Also, how do I end this? How do I save it to my thing?
You click the X and then it'll give you an option to save it.
Okay, perfect.
Once you end it. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Okay. All right. Bye. Thank you, everybody who joined on YouTube. Thank you for the comments. Yeah, I was a little bit makeshift first time doing this both, and yeah, I do hope that you're able to hear the conversation that we were having. We're learning as we're going. It's still Mercury retrograde until tomorrow, but thank you so much for being here, and I hope to connect with you again. Peace.